Hello and welcome. I am Anti-Derivative Jill, and this is Indefinite Lunch in Infinite Combinations number 9. I'm excited today to be reviewing the next two episodes of Season 2, Home and Nothing Left on Earth Excepting Fishes. And I'm joined here today with Pop Culture Curator, who makes this show even more fun. So I look forward to working with him each time.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. I really love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. If you haven't resubbed to his new channel, you ought to do that. He, what do you do on your channel, Pop Culture Curator?
I'm hoping to, my hope for the future is to be adding several different subjects. My channel is kind of new and it's also kind of rebooted. So
Right.
right now I have a couple live streams. I recently moved residences, so now that I'm settling into my new place, I'll be able to do more live streams, which I plan on doing. And I have
Neat.
videos of visiting famous filming locations in Los Angeles, and I'll be following up maybe some Bay Area, San Francisco stuff here in the near future. So kind of a little bit of California traveling, I guess.
Very
Oh,
cool.
yeah, thank you. But it's once again, it's a very great honor to be here. I'm very excited. I always look forward to this. It's very fun.
Yeah, me too. So we review two episodes of the Orville every week on Tuesday at noon. And the coolest part is that by the time we're done with the episodes, we'll have the first episode of the Orville season 3 on Hulu. So season 4 hasn't been renewed. And I believe that season 4 could happen if we give all our attention and support to season 3, New Horizons. And this is just some great science fiction, and we have to be serious to get that season 4. So Hulu knows we mean business.
Right, let's show some devotion.
Yep. And also in my reviews, I leave out a lot of the really great jokes unless they're important to the plot or have a basis in the science fiction. So I really encourage you to go check these episodes out. Also, I will try. I encourage Pop Culture Curator to interrupt me at any moment when he finds something he'd like to add.
Okay.
So,
Likewise.
right. So let's see here. The first episode today is Home. This episode first aired on January 10th, 2019, and it was written by Cherry Chev Cheva Pravat Dumrong.
I think Philip Gaming said that she goes by Cherry.
Yeah, okay, I can just call her Cherry. But
There
I
you go.
tried. I'm getting more brave with trying to.
Absolutely right. I give you credit.
And directed by John Sacer. Or Caser? Or Sacer. I'm not sure if it's the C is a S sound or a C sound.
Yeah,
So
same
if
here.
anybody,
I'm not sure either.
but I want to take a quick moment though to highlight him because he directs most of season 2 episodes and all of season 3. It's important to take note of that because just like the music was made to focus on the drama rather than the comedy, so was the director chosen with the same idea in mind. And he didn't at first believe that it was even right for him because he's never done a comedy. So he even calls himself as a director the king of torture. So Braga clarified to him by saying the way he planned it out to be, Seth doesn't want comedy directors. He wants full on drama directors.
Ooh, I like
And
that.
right, me too. So
Yeah, take
yeah,
it
that's
real serious. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. He takes it more seriously. This is another wonderful point showing how serious Seth is about the Orville. And after reviewing scripts, Sacer said, I'll correct later, this is good storytelling. If comedy is part of that storytelling, then I'm in. So that just shows how interested Seth is. And I just like pointing that out anytime someone says that Seth isn't interested in the Orville anymore.
Uh, I think he's. I think he's hoping for the best, just like all of us. Hopefully. I think it's going to be exclusively on Hulu, right? Nothing else.
Yeah, well, in the United States, I think that it'll be on different platforms all over the world. So,
Okay,
but
good.
But I did hear that the Orville will be premiering on June 2nd worldwide. Like, everybody's going to be able to get the first episode of the Orville on the same day, and that usually doesn't happen.
That's great.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of online chatter, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And this episode, all right, and this episode begins concerning Isaac and Alara, and they're having a classic match of strength, arm wrestling, which has survived to the 25th century. I expect this. I'd even expect thumb wrestling to make it because they're kind of timeless sports.
Oh, that's true. That's one way of. Now, I remember I was commenting on this episode a couple episodes back where she was fighting him in that simulator. How their strengths were probably around equal. So that's kind of what they mentioned in this episode.
Yes, they verified that in this episode, and Lamar looks really intense about this. Like, this is his favorite thing to do on Friday. So they make a point to mention that they do this every week.
And once again, what's funny is Borders is very excited, but never shows it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's interested in this too.
Right, he's got
Yeah,
stakes on the game.
you
Yes.
can tell he has very subtle looks that expresses emotion very well.
Yeah, they keep their emotions inside, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And but this time something goes terribly wrong, and so there's something goes wrong here, and Alara ends up breaking her arm when Isaac wins. And checking in the sick bay reveals that she and Isaac are an even match, like we just said. But now her strength has deteriorated by 20%. As we know, Alara's super strength is derived from being born on a planet that has much higher gravity on her own than her own.
It's
Well, it turns
interesting how
out,
the doctor told her it's basically a broken bone, that she said you'll be fine in about a half hour.
yes, that's right. Yeah, that is absolutely true.
Yeah, incredible
That's pretty
technology, I
quick,
guess.
right? I couldn't remember if Star Trek ever said how fast they can heal bones.
Yeah, I don't know either. Right.
Well, it turns out that having left the planet so early has accelerated that muscular atrophy from being on Earth-like gravity for so long. So I like how this was correlated to how astronauts lose muscle mass when in zero gravity on the
Right. Like
space
for example,
station.
yeah, like remember when they had those twins and one was sent up and one stayed here on Earth, and then they compared the bodies when the other one came back.
No, I didn't. I don't know about that.
Yes.
That comparison. That is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta look that one up. Um, what I don't like though is the lack of explanation right here about how this wasn't ever a concern before. I guess it's just neglect. I don't know.
Oh well, I guess the way they get past it is the doctor did say maybe they hadn't realized it because, or it came as a total surprise because Alara was so young. Maybe that's why
Oh,
they had
okay. They didn't
so
expect it to happen so fast.
right, they weren't expecting it, so I guess that's why they supposedly hadn't brought it up.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
guessing. That's my opinion.
That's a good opinion. Um, they can obviously create some Earth-like gravity on the ship, so I don't see what would stop them from creating a space on the ship for
Her
us lay in
quarters,
gravity.
right? Her
Yeah, her
quarters would
quarters,
be perfect. Yeah.
right? But this topic is addressed later on in the episode, so I'll give it a break only because it mentioned eventually,
Right. So they just hadn't thought of it at this point.
right? And you think they would, but I guess they didn't. And you have a good explanation for it too. So she decides she has to go home in order to deal with this problem she's got, and Dr. Finn agrees. And she's a little upset here. She can't lift as much as she used to. And Captain Mercer is supportive about whatever decision she has, she decides. And even with the authority of directing security, she doesn't feel she'd command respect if she lost her strength. So she really wants to go home for that reason too.
Yes.
She's just insecure. And this is such a bittersweet episode with Alara because part of that sweet part that you know of is that some Star Trek actors we are on this Zilean homeworld that we get to see.
Yes, which is very nice.
And also nice, I love how this planet shows that it has higher gravity by having rings, like our gas giants do,
Yes,
which
that's
also have
true.
larger gravity.
Hmm.
And and of course she says goodbye to the bridge and goodbye to everybody. This is the first goodbye through. And and of course their shuttle has to have a shielding on it,
Right.
gravity shielding.
So it doesn't get crushed.
Right. And we get our first look at the home world. And
Yeah,
wonder
that's
what
some
those.
terrific graphics for a television show.
Oh yes, definitely. Wonder what those loops are for.
I was thinking the same
Oh, is
thing. I
that?
was thinking, is it for entertainment, like a Ferris wheel type thing? But who knows?
It's just a bridge, but just a differently designed bridge, or some kind of transportation system that we can't see.
I wonder if they're magnets.
Yeah, it
Mm.
could be. And then we see a neighborhood here, and she's got a
And
big house.
and apparently, comparative to everyone else, they're pretty well off because they have the center biggest house right on the top of the hill.
Yes, I noticed that too. And here we get to see Alara's parents again with Robert Picardo playing her dad, Ildis, and Molly Hagan playing her mom, Dranala. And as stated before, we know Robert Picardo played the Doctor on Voyager, and Molly Hagan was the first. It was for the first seeing Jem'Hadar on Deep Space Nine, and we only got Picardo too briefly last time, so now this time we get to see his acting a little bit more closely.
Right. To be truthful, have not seen Voyager, but I'm aware that he was in it, and I'm aware that he was a hologram sort of doctor. So I'm guessing he probably wasn't allowed to show the emotional range he does in this episode. Is that correct?
Not at first. The EMH, yeah, at first, yes, he was just like EMH emergency program doctor who was only supposed to show up when there was a problem with the onboard doctor. But of course, since this is Gilligan's Island in space, they lose their doctor, the doctor dies, and he ends up having to be the doctor. And so at first, yes, he's completely detached and not really. He projects the emotions of his creator, but he doesn't really have emotions of his own. But that
Gotcha.
changes as the series goes on, and he gets better and better, and is quite easily the best part of Voyager.
I'm not surprised. He's a terrific actor. He actually goes way back. He's got a lot of history on the Internet Movie Database.
Oh
My favorite role,
yeah.
hands down, still, and nothing will ever change it, is The Howling.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I gotta. I
Yeah.
There's so many movies I gotta see. I'll check
Oh,
it out.
he was one of the best werewolves in cinematic history. Yeah, with the makeup by Rick Baker and Rob Bottin. Oh yeah, if you have not seen it, it was made right before they went on to do The Thing, so that tells you the quality of their work if you've seen The Thing.
Hmm.
But I highly recommend The Howling. He plays Eddie, a werewolf.
Yeah. All right. I'll check that out.
Hmm.
Let me check here. No. Okay. We're kind of on our own today here. I don't see
So
anybody.
far, I sent out a link on Twitter.
Okay.
How do you
That's
get
okay.
better at
That's
that?
okay. That's all right. We can do it here.
Well, there'll be people in the reruns and the rewatches, I'm sure.
Right, exactly on the rerun.
Right. So for you, those of you on the rewatch, hit the like, please, and leave any comments if you have any.
And And his great acting extends here. He plays her father so well from being and even has some growth in just one episode.
Yes.
And so right now he doesn't approve of her life choices, which kind of reminds me of Spock's dad, Sarek.
Yes, I recognize the similarity as well.
So, oh man,
But of course, between Spock and his father, it was years of developing that plot. This one covers it all in one episode, which is fine.
I know it's like in a speed run. Like, hey, you got it. This actor needs to leave, so let's do it real quick.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Is
I like
I
this.
guess she is gone with the show. I guess, huh?
Um,
So,
as
I don't
far as
know.
we know, yeah. I mean, she
Okay.
does show up again in season 2, so that
Yeah.
this episode is really great because it leaves it open.
Do you know if it was her decision to leave the show?
I don't remember. I don't know why
Okay.
she leaves. I should have. I was thinking I needed to look that up. Um, why Lara leaves, but
The actress, right?
uh, I think if you go to PJ JP Egotastic Fun Time has a video about it, but I forget what he says about it.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I would check that out.
Yeah, check it out. And this part isn't important, but it's fun. This is what I wanted to see more of from this episode is how the gravity um on this planet changes things. So that's great. And so the family is putting down the Orville and telling her how she should go to the university. Um
And it's fascinating. It's an alien planet, yet they all speak like they're right directly from Los Angeles.
and I think it's also filmed in Los Angeles too,
Oh, it
most
is,
likely.
but I don't know. I know it's kind of nitpicking, but if I was Seth MacFarlane, I would have a voice coach on this show, and I would say, "Look, I don't want everyone to sound like they're from Los Angeles or San Francisco. The same pitches, the same way they talk, and
Right.
literally, they talk like that on this show when they're supposed to be on an alien planet. So I would have hired a
Uh-huh.
voice coach to at least do something different with them. But that's just me.
That's a good idea. Well, not only that, but like you said, it just looks like California too. It would
It
have been
looks
cool.
and yeah, it looks. I mean, I'm waiting for them to say like, and literally the way they're because that's the way they talk here in California, and you can tell when things are shot here. They don't
Yeah.
bother going through the effort of asking the actresses to change the way they inflect their voices and their tones.
Hmm.
But that's just like I
That's a
said,
good point.
nitpicking.
Yeah, and it'd be cool to see some different kind of plant life since it is a different planet.
Well, California, what we're full of is like, literally likes, and dude, bro, dudes. So that's California,
Yeah.
which we also see in this episode.
Yes.
Right, dude, bro. I just realized that.
Oh, really? Do they say that in this episode? I
You'll,
didn't even
you'll
notice.
see Patrick Warburton when he makes his cameo.
But we meet also her sister Solana, something like that.
I think so. Yeah, something like Solana.
Solana. She's gonna get
Who's
married and
and who
everything.
apparently is right, and who apparently they subtly are showing us that she's also the favorite of the family.
Right. Yeah, and they say at some point that Lara's always been the weak one or something like that.
Yes.
So kind of rude. In this picture, since she has to sit down,
Herself as a kid.
she's little. And and I really like Robert Picardo here because he really believes that he's doing the best he can to have raised her the way he did. He thinks that he did the right thing. And
It's
and
true,
does
and well, he's been disengaged with her pretty much because he saw her as an underdog. He never gave her credit for what she was.
right, exactly. And doesn't really believe that, that the Orville is more of an inspiration than her parents are.
Well, and he makes it clear he's very anti-military.
Right. And but you could see the change from dismissal to maybe I haven't been listening in his emotions.
Right, that's another thing. And a parent, I don't think any parent on this planet could ever be convinced that in 30 minutes.
Yeah, right.
I think it'll take a
No,
lot, yeah, many more years than that, but it's fine. They put the point across.
but it's fine. He does it quick. He's
Yes, he
fast.
does, right. But normally you're telling your parents that for years and years.
Hmm. We're also reminded that she doesn't take the academic path because on her world she's considered mentally insufficient. Which
Right,
if she yeah, but we don't see any evidence of that, ever.
right,
So if
right. So
she
they're
is
dancing. Yeah, they're dancing around the word handicapped.
right. I think they do say it, but um I forget the exact words. But if she is, then I would be too on this world. That's some high standards. So Ildis decides that they need to go on a family trip to the beach house to improve the rift that bringing Alara back has caused. And they get to the beach house and they're told that it's deserted because people usually don't vacation during this season. And this beach location was filmed in LA, just as you thought, at Leo Carrillo State Beach. They encounter an evic. Oh. Oh, another thing is there's this little statue here that belonged to the owners of this house that they had considered removing, but they decided to keep it.
Wait, are you talking about in real life?
Yeah, in real life.
Oh, okay. So the house they use for the exteriors. Okay, got it.
Hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, and this is the evic here. The and I think it looks really nice and it looks pretty realistic. Given they say that there was a limited budget to create it.
Right. I'm wondering, did they use a real horse and put CG over it, or is the whole entire thing CG? Because it looks fairly
That's what I want
realistic.
to learn more. That's what I want to learn more of, but it's really hard to find art department notes and stuff.
It's
I
great
I
that
would
it's
have
hard to tell. That's actually an achievement in special effects when you can't tell.
right, exactly. And and you get the sister and get she gets to run up to it and pet it and everything. And this looks like it could be a postcard or something.
Absolutely. That'd be nice if I had that outside my back door. I wouldn't be
Mm,
living in my house.
and, I think you could I think you could make a good advertisement for maybe an Orville cruise. You know how they have the Star Trek ones?
Yes.
I would go on this
Romantic
one.
cruise. Romantic cruise. Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Mhm. Yep. And then she has this weird daydream about writing the Evic or Evic Evic. And what's weird about this? What's weird about this is that she sees herself as human in the daydream. So
I didn't even notice that. You're right.
yeah. Yeah. At first I just noticed the long
Why?
hair.
Hmm.
Yeah, right. No, that they never address why.
You
It
think it's a
just it
mistake?
um I, I don't think so. I
Or do you
yeah,
think her thinking that she was more like an earthling? Because she
yeah,
liked she,
maybe
she
she's been on the Orville so long she feels more human.
right, because that they do, that's part of the plot here is she feels distance from her family. And she feels that the Orville is her family.
Right.
So I'm
And
thinking
so
maybe that's
that's
the angle they're showing.
yeah, there you go. It's up for debate for sure.
True, absolutely.
Then she notices someone else is on the island, but no one else in the family is concerned about this. They're just enjoying their vacation. And back on the Orville, they're assigned an interim security chief named Lieutenant Thrall. And uh, Patrick Warburton plays him.
Absolutely, the tick himself. He was the best tick.
Oh yeah. He was also Joe Swanson on Family Guy and
Oh, that explains the connection.
yeah, right. And he was also Elaine's boyfriend on Seinfeld.
Oh, and that, but he's the character that I mentioned earlier. He's a dude, bro. That's how he
Oh,
talks.
yeah,
Dude,
right,
bro,
okay,
dude.
that's
It's like,
why I
okay,
forgot
you
about
were
it because he's kind of, I really like him as an actor, but this
the same
character is
here.
kind of
Well,
weird.
right. You think they would point out why do you sound like a dialect in a certain location of California 400 years ago?
Yeah,
But oh well, right? I
it's
doubt.
really
I
extreme.
don't think they're going to be talking like that in the future because if they do, we won't survive.
Well, I mean, it's just the nature of these shows that the characters are going to have human accents, but to
Well, they
over exaggerate it like that.
right. Well, that's what they do with his character, right? His
Mhm.
whole personality is. I don't like to give it away, but they're setting us up not to like him. Like
Right,
he's
he's meant
oh,
to be annoying and gross.
right, trying too hard. Yeah,
Anyway,
but it's Patrick Warburton. I love him too.
exactly. So you forgive him. Back on Zelaya, Alara's getting stronger, but she's not satisfied. And a couple arrives to visit called Cambus, Borin, and Florada. And Cambus is played by John Billingsley, who of course is Dr. Phlox on Enterprise. That's what's so cool on these episodes, that we have two Star Trek doctors. All we needed was for Alexander Siddig or you know, to have been the one to, take care of the beach house as the caretaker.
Oh, forgive my ignorance, but who was the doctor on Deep Space Nine?
Alexander Siddig played
Oh, that's right.
Julian
Okay,
Bashir.
that's
Yeah,
right. Thank you.
and Gates McFadden played the doctor on TNG.
All except for one season.
Yeah, yeah, right. With that one's Dr. Pulaski.
Diana Muldaur, yes.
Right. That
Which they intentionally wrote her character to be annoying, unfortunately.
right, right, right. And we talked about that on our McCoy
Yes.
review. That was pretty good. Anyway, Cambus says he's concerned someone broke into his home, so Alara goes full security mode, just asking all these questions about DNA and stuff. And she and her sister decide to go check it out. And they're welcomed in their home and everything. And the side eye that everyone gives Thrall, it just shows you what kind of attitude that everyone has for him. There's the first side eye from Bordis,
Yeah, I guess
and
they're allowed to eat. I guess they're allowed to eat and drink right on the computers and panels in the future.
I guess, I mean, Ed said that you could drink soda on the bridge, but I never heard about eating your entire
Yeah.
meal on all of the electrical panels and
Well, it makes
everything.
sense. It'll be waterproof. It's just that it seems messy, but who cares?
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I mean, like we said earlier, he's meant to be gross and annoying.
Oh, and I've
And
I've worked with people like that, by the way. I'll point out, so it's not totally fake.
and yeah, I worked in an office before, and
Yeah, there's always somebody who's got to be eating one, right? Oh, I've
right,
got to keep my
eating at
blood
the desk.
sugar up, or if I don't eat, I'll get dizzy. And yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this particular such person has this tube that kind of looks like an elephant's trunk. Uh, it's
Exterior esophagus.
yes, it's an extra esophagus that he uses that lets him eat even more. It's so gross more than that it is interesting. Oh, and this is the end of these slides. So I'll play the next one here. Oh,
And we have a visitor in the chat.
okay, awesome. Hello, Kapla to Bird of Prey 5.
Hey, Alberta Faye Fire. I hope you're doing well, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope your teeth are feeling much better.
Oh, now that Bird's here, let me ask both of you a question. I've been pondering. Jill, you know how I've been thinking about covering a show, but I wasn't sure which one.
Oh, yes, sure. Go for it.
What do you think about Ray Bradbury Theater?
Um, I'd have to watch that, Ray
So you're not familiar with it,
Bradbury.
is that right?
Yeah, I'm willing to watch anything new.
No, that's fine. I'm trying to pick something that not everyone has seen. That's the point.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Hmm.
I
Okay.
mean, I haven't seen it, so I trust your judgment on that, so I'll check it out.
Well, he was one of the mainstay writers for the Twilight Zone. So that's a
Okay,
little
so
bit
is
of
it sci-fi too?
sci-fi, a little bit of horror, a little bit of humor, fantasy. Yes.
Yeah, even okay, I don't feel so bad now. I always feel bad I don't know everything, so
No, it's
I'll still
great because he's an excellent writer. He's my favorite. I've read everything he's written, and he worked personally on this show and wrote every single screenplay. So it's every episode sticks to his stories. Bird of
alright.
Prey 5, never heard of it, which means you guys need to tune in.
That's
I
a
think
good
I will
choice.
cover it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, yes,
Five. I
go
think
for
it
it.
had 5 seasons. The first one is starring William Shatner. The first
Yeah,
episode.
just pick a day and we'll do it.
I will. I will actually. I have to figure out the best way to stream it. Like
Mhm.
Cosme or one of those. I'm not really sure yet.
Oh, you're gonna do watch parties, alright.
Well, if nobody's seen it, it won't do me any good to review it.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah, if people will show up for watch parties, I bet a lot of people are going to say, "Well, who's Ray Bradbury?" But you know, without him, we wouldn't have the butterfly, the time travel butterfly effect. He's the one that wrote that. The
Oh,
many
right.
shows and TV shows and movies have pretty much ripped off. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. And, Dr. Finn and Chief Engineer Lamar find out a way that might help Alara. And here's where they address my concerns from earlier about the gravity acclimation technology that I believe should already exist, but they make us wait for it. So we don't get it quite yet. They just get a tease
Yes.
for a possible solution. And back on Zalea, Alara's sister, Solana, admits she's jealous of all the amazing places that Alara gets to visit and explore and discover, like the 2D world. And she also says she's proud of her. So that's a nice moment there. And given given the academic nature of the lands, I love that they picked that Flatland episode because that's one of my favorites from season 1. And
Yes,
they
it is a
get
good one. That's true.
mhm, and they get to the house, to investigate.
Now
Or
she's talking about everybody. I don't know if she mentioned it or not, but it's the groundskeeper for the parents' house. They think that the person left, but they're checking his house to see. So this is the house. I thought this was a little confusing at first because even when I watched this a second time this morning, I thought they were going to investigate the house that was broken into, but they're going to investigate the housekeeper who takes care of the parents' house.
right, right. I was like, this is not as nice of a vacation home as the other couple
Right, right.
had.
This is all I had.
I was confused too. No, it wasn't until they entered the house that I realized it was the caretaker's home.
Right, the caretaker.
hmm I was like, man, that's a small house. But yeah, so yeah, this is the caretaker's home and he's missing, but all his stuff is still there. So he doesn't show any signs that he actually left, just that he's packed.
Yes.
So they're all in the next scene. Oh yeah, they're in here searching through his stuff. And back at the vacation house, they're having a dinner party, and everything seems sweet and everything until Canvas asks Ildis to stick his hand in the boiling sauce at threat of weapons fire. And it's pretty incredible how John Billingsley goes from actually keeps being sweet while he's being completely demonic. and and the couple reveals that they're there to seek restitution or revenge for their son's suicide, which they blame on Ildis just for proving Galdis' theory, their son's theory, on a vaccine as wrong, which um which I'm not sure could be a backhanded commentary on anti-vaxxers, but um
Yeah, I thought about that too, but of course they didn't know that when they. It's much more apparent these days now what they're talking about. But they made this
mhm,
long before what happened with the
right.
poof.
Right, but before the pandemic though, they were having debates about
Right,
just
anti-vaxxers back
regular
then.
vaccines.
Right, they were people who didn't want their kids' vaccine to go to school. Is what
Right,
that used to mean.
because they believed it had detrimental effect on the brain how somehow.
Right, and some of them had religious reasons. And I'm
Right.
curious that the doctor, because I'm not aware of, I think you said Enterprise. The doctor, the bad guy here is the doctor from Enterprise. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, that's right.
Has he
Dr.
always?
Phlox.
I noticed he kind of talks out of the side of his mouth. I guess he's always done that.
I guess so.
Oh, okay. Anyway, go ahead, proceed.
Yes, but the episode presents it as it's just a matter of Ildis having done his homework, and he was the only one sharing. He was just sharing what the science concluded for him, and so he's he just
I
yeah
think I think I think he was like a radical because he
right
was anxious to prove his point when her father was saying, "Look, his nothing. Either it doesn't work or it hasn't been proven yet." But he was trying to push it forward. Hadn't been tested yet. Something along those lines, right?
right right and yeah Ildis was saying that he didn't peer review his research and
And then he basically flat out said it didn't work, or won't work, or wouldn't have worked, or something like that.
mhm. But that doesn't matter to the parents. The parents
No,
want restitution.
right. In fact, that's what upset them when they heard that.
Hmm. And and they want him to lie and say that their son was right, to everybody. And Alara was correct in saying the second you make that retraction, they'll have no reason to keep them alive.
Yeah, I was expecting him to say, "You have a smart daughter," but he
Yeah,
didn't.
right. Well, he sort of does because
Or she's
that's
a
where
smart one in the family, huh? That would have been funny.
that would have been great.
Yes.
You should have been helping writing this episode. So the episode gets super dark when she makes that claim though, because they switch from threatening with just the gun to threatening to cut off Solana's finger. And I never knew that Dr. Flox could be so scary. But yeah, that's pretty tough.
Well, it's
And
nice how she
Saren
holds it out there for them, make it easier, right?
well, yeah, he was like that the finger or your head. So it's not like she exactly had any sort of choice there.
Right.
Oh, and oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see that Bird of Prey 5 needs to go. Okay, I'll see you later,
Take
Bird of
care,
Prey 5.
bird.
Yeah, have a good day. And
I
hello to
noticed that
Ploxard,
too.
lurking for numerical chat count.
Hello, Ploxer.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Hello. And of course, Orville arrives, and it's serendipity because the real reason to come to the planet is to offer Alara a chance to come back to the Orville. And as you see here, um, Cambus shoots Ed in this next scene. Coming up. Here he's just trying to talk to. He's trying to pretend. Eldest is trying to pretend that everything's okay. And here is where Dr. Flox, Cambus, shoots Ed. Right. Meanwhile, Laura finds strength enough
Just in
to
time.
take down Florada. Florada is a weird name. Man, she couldn't even walk a few hours ago, but now she's somehow got enough strength.
Yeah, maybe that little daydream on the beach helped.
Yeah, some adrenaline or something must have gotten into her to take down another Zelaine woman.
Yeah, it would have been nice if her sister and mother tried, but oh well.
Yeah, right. Because Alara had to be the hero here, but
Yeah,
it seems a little strange that she
yeah, but they
achieves strength
they
so
just sat
fast.
there and watched it. Yeah, when they have both of the mother and father, mother and daughter, mother and sister have full strength. I mean, they could have,
Yeah,
but
they
oh
could have
well.
at least, yeah, they could have helped. Why didn't they?
I think what they're
Hmm.
showing is that, and this is the reason why the father was against her being in the military, is because they're so non-military that they're so passive. They don't know how to defend themselves. That is the
Oh, it
people.
never even crossed their mind to
That
help.
is the people in San Francisco. They stand there and they watch as crimes happen, and nobody steps up and helps. So I see that every day.
Your knowledge of California is so helpful with these Orville reviews.
Well, that's the California way. They either stand there and watch, or they turn and act like they don't see it happening because they don't want to be a victim. So you'll see one person being molested or attacked in public with all these people around, and nobody will come to their defense. It's really, really sad. Anyway, sorry to get off topic.
Yeah, that is pretty sad. How pathetic. Um, and of course, he's about to shoot him again, and Alara is still fighting with Florada, and she gets a shot off. And so he's about to shoot Ed again, but then he hears that shot and he gets concerned for his wife. So there's more chase. There's lots of
Pew pews.
action,
Gotta have a little bit of pew
pews
pew.
and running and lots of fun. And Gordon finally realizes there's a problem here, so he sends a message to the Orville. And Alara asks her dad to help with Captain Mercer to help him get back to the shuttle because he's incapacitated, because she only has enough strength to take on Canvas. And Ildis has to overcome some of his fears. He has to learn how to jump over this balcony, but unable to really climb, he just decides screw it and just falls down. Finally, and he sees the missing.
He can't really climb well because he has a burned hand.
Yeah, right. Exactly, the burned hand. That's the reason.
Right. So he only has one hand to climb with. So I can kind of see.
It makes sense. And I didn't get a screenshot of it, but we see the missing caretaker right next to him, so we see what happened to him.
Yes.
And distracted, Canvas was surprised by Alara's shot, and he goes down. And Ildis is able to get Ed's body into the gravity field in time, except for a few broken bones. And he says that Alara took care of it. She always does. Her dad, and at this moment, her dad finally sees Alara's life from her perspective. And he admits that he's proud of her.
This is where we get that good acting range, yes.
Yes, fantastic acting range. I just love this episode for the acting of it. You're wanting some strong dads. At least we get one here.
Well, yes, he wasn't at first, but he's learning to.
He's getting better.
Well, and it didn't show that the mother was dominating over him. I think that's what really helps.
Yeah, right.
The mother and father I'd see are equal. He seemed to be more in disagreement with her career choices, but they seem to be equal as far as being passive.
And back on the ship, Lamar is able to create a gravitational simulator and the environmental simulator for the first time on the ship. So at least this solution was thought of by the episode, even if it did take Alara's situation to bring about the solution.
Right. So a couple hours a week in a gravity simulator, and that would cure her problem really quick, apparently.
Right. So for that, I forgive the science in this episode because they eventually do bring up what I thought.
Yes, and apparently it shows that they don't currently have that capability in their quarters like we thought. So they have to do it inside the simulator.
Exactly. Dr. Finn is sure that 2 hours of it would help her stay on the ship. However, having just connected with her family for the first time ever, she wants to experience that a bit more, which makes some sense.
Yeah, it was actually a surprise. I was surprised when she decided to leave.
Yeah, right.
I thought it was going to be the old welcome back scene. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Because look, here's the solution. Here's the reason you get to stay, and you love us, and we love you, and you're going to stay. But no, she doesn't.
Yep.
So we get this goodbye scene, and it turns out in production that this was filmed last. so that it was the real goodbye from the crew to the actor, so that
Oh,
the goodbyes are genuine here.
and it's a good scene. I liked it.
Mhm. And, I try to pretend like I liked having Dalek here last week, so I tried to pretend if you were here. Um, he might think this was another drama episode, but at
I
least
thought of
they
him. Yeah, I thought of Dalek too, watching this, thinking the same thing. Yes,
Yeah, yeah, it helps to have a different perspective, and he really brought that.
absolutely.
And eh, but they did address the gravity issue, and we got to see a new world. So I'll agree with Dalek that it would have been cooler. I mean, when I was thinking of him, I thought, well, maybe it would have been cooler if we got to see more examples on how the increased gravity would have changed Zalea,
Yes, that's true.
because like you said, it just basically looks like California. So maybe they could be a little more creative, but at
Well, the
least we,
sky with the planet, the rings, and all that was nice.
yes, that was nice, and the animal was nice.
Well, the only thing
Even
that uh, I know it had a lot of green trees and lush, plant life and things. I guess that's a similarity to California. But when I meant California, I was mostly talking about their speech patterns.
mhm,
Because I do understand the show is going to be shot on location or, within the
right.
human mental capacity, what we can imagine. But it would just be nice if when they're on an alien planet that the voices, if they would at least speak a little differently.
Mhm. Yeah, and that makes sense. Just, some then that requires a little bit of acting, but that's their job, so
Well,
that
how
should
about
be
how about
something
they
they
just
can do.
tell the actor, you're an actor, talk like to somebody from the Midwest. How's that?
Mhm,
Not everyone has to sound like they're from San Francisco or L.A., but
right.
that's,
Yeah,
I
they
guess
could do that.
I don't know. It seems like me, I'm used to hearing it because I hear it every day, but it just seems like people live all over the world would notice this first, and every time they watch these shows, wouldn't they think, well, everybody sounds like they're from California? But I don't know. Maybe that's not the case.
Mhm. I didn't really notice it except with that new character, the security chief, because it was so outlandish.
Yeah.
But,
Well, that's
but in
okay.
yeah, anyway, this was a pretty important character moment, and I think this was a great way to write off a character. With with
Absolutely, yes.
with some dignity and respect, because Star Trek doesn't have it has somewhat of a weird history with killing off, characters in order to remove them from the cast. Like
Yeah.
when they like like the tar creature, the from
Yeah, Lieutenant
TNG,
Yar.
yeah, Lieutenant Yar, or, the demon alien thing that killed Lieutenant Dax in Deep Space Nine. So So this was a beautiful way to do it, leaving room for possibilities in the future without, any space-time continuum manipulation.
That's what I'm thinking. Maybe that's why Star Trek did it. Maybe because that way it will stop all fan questions. Are they coming back? I mean, I can imagine a Star Trek convention. Are they coming back? Are they coming back? Are they coming back? The public are answering that, so they show them actually die.
Yeah,
And here here they intentionally leave it open where maybe she can return. You never know.
that's a good production note. Like, maybe the Orville doesn't mind that audiences love her and want her back, and on Star Trek, they didn't wanna have to deal with it.
Oh no, and they want to make sure there's no question. That's one of the
Mhm.
jokes in the movie Deep Blue Sea about a killer
Right.
shark. It says starring Samuel L. Jackson, and he comes out, and as soon as he starts talking, the shark grabs him and eats him. It's like, okay, I guess he's not the star of the movie, and they definitely showed him dying right there. So yeah, they
Well,
made
that's
fun of
not
that.
cool.
No, but it was
You
very
you
funny
you
moment.
go
I
to
was
a
in the theaters,
movie
and
you go
everybody's
to a movie
laughing.
Oh my god. If I go to a movie because of Samuel L. Jackson, I'm gonna be pretty disappointed if he immediately gets eaten by a shark.
He does. He gets out and he rallies the crowd. They're all standing there, and I'm not joking. He says one sentence. He says, "Okay, now we've got to get together and fight." And then the shark jumps out of the water and just snatches him, pulls him down below, and it shows under the water. It chews him in two pieces, and the two pieces separate. So now there's no question. And the audience was laughing,
Well, at
and
least it was entertaining.
it was because that's something you don't usually see. They were making fun of that old trope, and but it still turned out to be a good movie. Though. Besides that, it's a very good movie, very funny.
But sometimes I think that's the reason why they show them die, so there's no question about it, perhaps. And then sometimes, of course, they die, they still come back, right?
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, like Stargate kills off Daniel Jackson a lot. I don't know if you've seen Stargate, and they bring him back a bunch too. So,
Or bring it
anytime
back in a
Daniel
different
dies,
right, or bring him back in a different form, like
eh,
Lieutenant
as all
Yar, and then her Romulan
oh my god,
daughter
yeah.
or whatever
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was.
Her yeah, it's supposed to be her
Right,
daughter,
her
who looks
daughter.
exactly like her, more like a clone,
Yeah.
and
Oh well.
the
And
timing
then
was kinda weird on that, and
right, another
there's
old
lots of
trope.
timey-wimey, different dimension kinda shenanigans going on there, but, thank you to IPA, to the Haynep Tribe Homestead, if you're listening, thank you for subscribing.
Very cool.
So, that's
Congratulations.
yes, that's very cool.
Haynep. I think it's Haynep. Haenep. Haynep, maybe.
Haynep. Sure, Haynep. Let's go with that for now, unless they correct us.
Click the like out there, guys, if you like the stream.
So, some of my major issues with this episode are revealed when you look at the behind the scenes writing for this episode. Science consultant Andre Barmanis brought this up all the way back in season 1, that Alara's private quarters, just like you said earlier, would have a device that simulates her planet's gravity, and to use that as a platform on the show as another way how to boost the theme where she has trouble with dating, but they never ended up using that.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
so that was a really great point that you made earlier
Well,
for that.
sometimes it's not. It's still better than Discovery or New Trek by a long, shot. So no
Oh yes, of
complaints.
course. Yes, no yeah, right. I mean, I
Yeah,
still give this episode high marks. It's just, you know, I want to be honest. So, what did you think of this episode, Pop Culture Curator? What were
I,
some of your favorite parts?
I. What's interesting is my opinion changed from the first time to the second time. The first time I didn't like it a lot because I didn't like Robert Picardo acting the way he did, and I was upset because she left the show. And now watching it again, it's like, no, they did it well. She must have had a reason to leave,
Right.
or they had a reason for her leaving, one of the two, and they did handle it well. And his character evolved past. But all he was is a pesky bad guy. But I like him. I love him as the actor. So I like the
What?
episode better on the second viewing than on the first. So I
Yeah,
would give it a
Robert
7 out of
Picardo.
10.
Yeah, he's done that before on Stargate. So he was on Stargate Atlantis, and he played a similar character who was kind of annoying like that, but also had a different side to him. So he's always been multifaceted
Oh
and
yeah,
able
like
to
I said,
play
if
those
you
kind
see
of
him,
characters.
yeah, if you see him as Eddie the werewolf in The Howling, you'll see what I mean. That's my favorite role. Like I said,
Yeah,
he's
I'm gonna have
definitely
to
a bad
see.
guy there, and he's great in a movie called Inner Space.
Hmm.
So yeah, he's really good.
All right. Did I? Oh yeah. And I didn't go through all the huggings yet. She
The old,
hugged everyone.
yeah, it's the old "I'll miss you, but most of all, Scarecrow" scene.
Yeah. And the only one she doesn't hug besides Isaac was Gordon, but that's because he's taking her. He's a pilot, so he ostensibly hugs her in the spacecraft later.
Right.
Oh, right. I forgot about this. I added this last minute. So since we're saying goodbye to Alara, I also wanted to say goodbye to the shuttlecraft. This beautiful little shuttlecraft that I love so much is going to be changing in season 3 to this.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Hmm.
Very interesting. Does it have wings? Yes, they
Yeah, it
do.
has wings. Yeah, right.
It looks like the Krill, similar to the Krill ship.
Yes. Yes, that's what I noticed. I mean, I guess when they captured a krill ship early in season 1, and I wondered if maybe they nicked some technology from it.
Yeah, adapted the technology, reverse engineered it, maybe.
Hmm. Yeah,
Hmm.
well, we're gonna have to wait to find out to see exactly why the ship changed so much.
Well,
Because go
go
ahead.
ahead. Well, thinking, I don't want to give too much away, but there's a further episode where, by the end of the episode, don't they sort of become friends with the Union?
And more like allies against mutual destruction,
Right.
but
I'm thinking
that's
maybe.
something.
But I'm thinking maybe they shared technology at that point, in which we can cover this later on during that episode. That maybe they'll
Sure.
eventually share their technology in case they're attacked again.
Yeah, and speaking of work cooperating with the Krill, this next episode is all about it
Yes.
for the first time. For the first time they do that.
Yeah. Once again, nice designs. I have no complaint there.
Yeah, it looks good. No, they put a lot of effort because they actually build the ship. It's real models, real full-size vehicles.
It looks so much better when it's practical. Yeah, the less green screen, the
Right.
better.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't just exist on a file on someone's computer. You can climb into it and pretend you're flying around
Right. This is the
if you're lucky enough
CW
to be near
people.
one. So, are you ready for the next episode?
Yes, I'm excited. I like this one as well. I don't want to sound like a broken record. If
Yeah,
anybody knows
right.
what that
No,
is these
I like
days, but yeah.
I like this one too. No, the episodes
Okay.
get better as season 2 goes along. It's like
Absolutely.
it's like they did that on purpose or something. I don't know
Yeah, it's
exactly.
building up its pace. Yes, it is.
Hmm. This
That's why I
episode,
wish Dalek was here to enjoy it with us.
I know, right? I would love to hear his
Oh,
opinion,
I don't know if you saw,
whenever
but
he is.
Dalek sent out a tweet earlier this week saying that something came up and he won't be on as often this week. So
Yeah,
there's a reason why he's not here.
all right, that makes sense. But he's
Yeah.
getting lots of shout outs anyway. You can go
Yes.
subscribe to Dalek451. I'm sure he'll be back eventually. Some people get burned out and they need a break, and that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. He just said it was something personal that came up, but he
Oh,
did say he
personal.
would.
I hope he's
Right.
okay.
Well, he said he's not going to be off altogether. He won't be on a lot of streams with other people, but he might do his own streams, something like
Yes.
that.
Okay, that makes sense. And hello in the chat to Ervik Sander. Good
Wow,
afternoon.
nice. Hello, Arabic Sonder. Good to see you.
And Nothing Left on Earth Excepting Fishes first aired on January 17th, 2019. And it was written by Star Trek veterans Brandon Braga and Andre Bormanis. And I feel like that's a great balance because Braga is more known for his drama and Bormanis is the science consultant. So I like that they put those two together.
Oh, very cool. Let me ask you a question. Has Rick Berman popped up in this show or no?
No, I haven't seen any Rick Berman here yet.
Okay, maybe that's a good
Or
thing. Who knows?
maybe it's a good thing. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't
Just
know.
kidding.
I don't know. I don't know. Because I mean, I've heard good and bad things about all the creators since Gene, and it's. Well, I'll take what I can get at this point. We're getting better sci-fi somehow,
Oh, wait, as long as they're attempting to write good stories. They
right?
haven't given up totally like the new Drek. So yeah, they have my support 100%.
Right. They still believe in classic storytelling, and that's what we're here for.
Exactly.
And and plus, I kind of this is just my theory. I don't have any proof of this, but I believe that Seth kind of is channeling a little bit of Gene Roddenberry in that I think he has his hand in every episode.
Oh,
Though,
absolutely. It's really it's terrible that Paramount turned him down. They should have given him Star Trek. This could have been
yeah,
Star Trek.
yeah, he could have. I think he could have brought it back. I think he. It feels to me that he knows what he's doing here. Um,
Maybe Elon Musk will buy Star Trek.
I was seeing someone say that about Stargate. And I was like, yeah, Stargate, Star
No,
Trek, go for it.
I mean,
Yeah,
Stargate's fine, but no, I want to see Star Trek saved first. If anything needs to be saved, it's Star Trek.
it is. You're right. He needs to buy Paramount.
Yes, or just Star Trek. If anything, I don't care about the rest of Paramount.
No, I know. But it'd be a lot easier that way because they got this contract with Secret Hideout
Right. I'd be the
until
first thing I'd get rid of.
2026.
Oh,
And
jeez.
and even if he bought it now, he'd be beholden to that for a few more years.
Yep, that's true.
I
Unfortunately.
don't know. Anyway, this one was also directed by John Caesar, or Cesar, Caesar. And This episode begins with Grayson telling Captain Mercer that they need to make a supply delivery to Epsilon 5. And Gordon complains that all they seem to be doing is delivery. And that kind of reminds me of Futurama, which was an Earth-based interplanetary shipping company. And it was a really great sci-fi cartoon.
It was. I enjoyed it. I haven't seen it
Mhm.
all. I know it was picked up later on Comedy Central, and they made a few more seasons, but
Well,
I
yeah,
didn't get caught up.
Futurama was great, and then there was like a dark moment where a few episodes weren't good, and then it got better again, and then they canceled it.
Oh,
Yeah, but they had a really great ending though.
or
I
like
hear it's
unlike,
coming
well,
back.
unlike it's kind of like an alkaline battery compared to an older battery, which is The Simpsons, where it just slowly died and died and died and faded, and never got better.
Well, yeah, at least with Futurama it did get better.
Right, and Simpsons just gradually just went
And
downhill. It never really came back.
no, I think like season 13. I tried to do a rewatch of The Simpsons, and I think about around season 13 is when I start losing interest.
I'm not surprised, and considering it's been on 30-something years now, it's like, wow, it's well
Mhm.
past its due, in my opinion. But oh well.
Yes, and I'm inclined to be nostalgic for it because I was a little kid running to my TV every Sunday. So
And there's
so
probably young kids right now that still do the same. They don't know, the old episodes like we do. So that's possible. New
hmm.
generations, right?
Oh, I don't know. They're watching YouTube Minecraft videos.
You're right. And Twitter and Twitch, and right, all that.
Yeah, but who knows? Some people might still have TVs.
What's that?
um,
What's funny is I moved over a week ago and I haven't even plugged in my TV yet. So that's what TV I watch.
I mean, if you do use your TV, you hook it up to a set-top box or your computer or something like that.
Yeah, I just watch everything on my computer because I have not watched broadcast television in at least a decade.
Right. The main
So,
thing you need your TV for is if you got this movie that you need to see
which I do on my
in a big
laptop. Yeah.
screen. Yeah.
Right. Well, my server is still packed. I have a server that has like 75 terabytes of movies and TV shows.
Nice.
And once I get that hooked up, then I'll hook my TV back up.
I've got a 15 terabyte of that, but I need another hard drive.
We
I
all
ran
say
out.
that. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir.
I ran out of room pretty quick.
It does. It happens. And what's funny is I have almost 75 terabytes, and the most and the best it is, which I feel really bad about, is 1080p. I haven't even delved into 4K yet, and it's like that's going to be a whole new world. I mean, those are huge files.
Yeah, that's outrageous. I have a TV that can play 4K, but I don't have a player.
Oh, well, you can get one under 200, so the price isn't bad.
All right.
Yeah. So
Well,
and
I'll
the
think
price
about
of the discs are coming down. The Blu-rays. I don't think they're calling Blu-ray 4Ks. I think they have a different. I think they're just called 4Ks.
Right. Yes, they just call it 4K. So we'll see if I get
All
that
right.
soon.
Sorry to interrupt.
So Ed, no, that's okay. No, that was a good tangent. And so we find out that Lieutenant Tyler is still working as a dark matter cartographer. And we see why Ed is more relaxed than normal because he's dating her. And we get an explanation directly from Ed as to why we see so much from the 20th and 21st century entertainment. He says that his parents put a priority on getting him to see the classics.
Which I guess are, well, don't include anything prior to 1950 or
Right.
after 2020.
Right. It's a narrow window of classics, right?
Which
You
is
don't get
all
any
right.
you don't get any classics from 22, 27.
Well, they're right. They're not going to show it to us. We'll be like, what is that? We won't even understand. So yeah, it makes sense.
That could be fun though if he made up his own pretend classics. I
And you know what?
wouldn't mind that.
You know what's funny? The coincidence. I had to laugh. Is just last night I started to watch Pam and Tommy because I heard it's really good. And last night I watched the first two episodes, and they referenced this movie here as well. So I had to laugh. What a coincidence! Of all movies, I've seen two references of this movie in 2 days.
Wow. The King and I.
The King
They're
and I,
watching
yeah.
The King and I.
Yul Brynner, yes.
And it has the titular phrase in it. And I'll read the whole passage. is a danger to be trusting to one another. One will seldom want to do what other wishes, but unless someday somebody trusts somebody, there will be nothing left on earth excepting fishes. So I see how it's a very poetic kind of story.
Yes. Do you know very much about the actor Yul Brynner
No.
from Russia? His biggest role was the Ten Commandments. He was the bad guy
Oh,
up against
oh
Charlton Heston.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. I
Right. In
watched
fact,
Ten
he really
Commandments
worked
a
out.
lot.
He really worked out for that role because Charlton Heston was already buff,
All
and
right.
he didn't want to look smaller, so he really buffed out for the Ten Commandments. He kept
Mm-hmm.
his physique. He
Yeah.
played the
Now that
King
you
and
say
I.
that, I see it.
Right, and this movie here, it is of course a big hit, and he continued after the movie to play the character on stage pretty much up to his death. He made some fantastic westerns, like I think the Dirty Dozen was one of them. He's been in several really good prominent westerns. So, oh, and let's all not forget the killer android in the movie Westworld. So yeah, I mean his career is very extensive. Yes.
That makes sense. Yeah, he was very good in Ten Commandments. You almost feel sorry for him when he loses his son.
Yes. And you can understand his reasoning, even though I disagree with it. I can understand it.
Right. And Tyler offers to take Ed on vacation off the Orville. Here, Ed. Um, oh, right. That's pretty good. Uh, here, here, Ed first tells Gordon about his new relationship because they've decided to take it public, and then he tells Kelly too. But she says she already knew because she can read his emotions so well, so she can read him like a book.
I am glad that they built up the relationship between Ed and that lady over a few episodes rather than all in one. So that kind of helped add to it, so it didn't really have to rush it so much in this one episode.
Right, it came up earlier, and it took me some doing to not
Right, it was
talk
like
about it.
right, it's like
Like,
two episodes
yep.
back or whatever. Right when she first came on the ship, and you could
Mhm.
tell that the interaction. Yes, that's when I
Right,
said she looks almost like Kelly. Right.
right, you did. And Ed and Janelle Tyler are going to Center Cita Cena, Sen- Sensoria. Sensoria too. I wonder if we'll ever actually get to see Sensoria too. But this is not the time we get to see it. All we get to see is this nice nebula. When three krill ships approach. So they take down the ship's engines, but they don't kill it. They use their plasma. They vent their plasma to reveal the shuttlecraft. And then they take down the engines and of course they're taken in by the tractor beam, green tractor beam. And Kelly informs Bortis that the new security chief will arrive next week, making this the last episode where we see Lieutenant Tharl, and everybody is so sad. Wait, no, they're not.
Yeah, apparently they're glad to see him go.
It's a very happy day apparently.
Oh, and I need to mention too, he has
Sure.
he's a security officer, and he has that exterior esophagus, which seems like wouldn't that get in the way if in case he has to get into hand-to-hand combat, or
It
wouldn't
seems
it be
like it would get. It
detriment
seems
to him?
unless he can detach it, it seems like it would get in the way all the time. Like,
Yeah, I
maybe
don't
if he could detach it, he'd wrap it around or something, but
wrap around. I don't know if he could detach an esophagus, but I mean, if
no,
I
I
was a
don't think
bad
so.
guy, that'd be the first thing I would grab.
Yeah, right? You could break that thing in half pretty quick.
But sorry, get off topic once again.
No, that's a fun visual. Like, how does he develop? He was never developed as a character at all. He was never meant to be a character,
Right,
so we
right.
never get to see him in combat.
Well, it reminds me of I watched Bird of Prey's reviews of Discovery, right? And I've seen at least a
Right.
few episodes that he has covered where it shows them land on an alien planet. They don't know what to do and what's around. But the red-haired chick has this huge afro, and I'm thinking if I was an alien or a sniper, she'd be the first target because that's not what you do in the military. The last thing you want to do is attract attention to yourself. But
Mhm.
there's no logic in that show, so oh well, I can
No,
understand
I
that.
know, no.
Right? You don't
That's
go on
why
alien
I'll
planets with
only
this big hairdo, right? Just trying to draw attention to yourself. That just doesn't make any sense.
yeah, that's why I'll only watch, Bird of Prey 5's review. I'm not gonna bother watching the episodes anymore.
Right? It's like a really, really bitter pill, and he's our best friend. We say, give it to Bill, give it to Bird, he'll eat anything, and then he can tell us how bad it tastes.
He's the canary in the coal mine, and
Yes.
or literally because he's a bird.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I give him credit though. He's a much stronger person than I am. I don't think I can make it that far.
Right.
I'm glad you got your stream elements working. Congratulations.
Yeah, I know, it's so fun.
That's
I
what I
can
need to
just
do
type
as
that in.
well. Now that I'm settling into my new place, I'm gonna get all that working. I'll get my stream elements up and running. I'll start doing some more live streams and interacting with everybody more.
Mhm. And so here, Kelly informs Bortis that the new security chief will arrive next week, making this the last time we see Lieutenant Thrall. And Gordon asks to be able to go through command training through the ship master qualification program because he's ready to do more. But Bortis doesn't quite believe in him.
Well, because it really seems all of a sudden.
Yeah, right. He wants to do it out of nowhere. He's shown no desire for leadership before. In fact, his history is that he has never had a leadership
Right?
role,
Quite the opposite
except
of.
except for when he was in Cub Scouts or something, and he led something to do with jelly beans or something. I
Yeah,
forget.
he's a good pilot here, but he's mostly known for his
He's like,
hijinks and practical jokes.
exactly. And back on the Krill ship, the Krill greet Commander Mercer,
God.
and they they greet him.
You'll see what. Go ahead and continue. I'll show you where I disagree with this scene here, but go ahead.
Okay. They want the command codes for the Orville by thread of what looks like a Klingon pain stick. So it looks like they have some pain sticks here.
That right there is where it makes. In reality, they wouldn't do that. In reality, they should be able to torture him without having to enter the cell because it could be dangerous. He could kill them. So
Right.
they should not have to drop the field on the cell, and they should be able to torture him remotely without having to
Externally.
walk it. Right, because they're risking their own lives walking in there with that stick. But
All
then
right,
you
you
wouldn't
know
have the
what?
plot.
That makes some sense. Or
Yeah.
at least let one in to torture him and be in
Well, that's what they
just
did.
one
This
on
one.
one.
That's what
Oh,
they did
is
with
it one
this
on
one.
one? Oh, they did?
Right.
Okay.
Right, but it just seemed like the
But
first
you
thing when they
Mhm.
first stopped there at the entrance with the shield up, I'm thinking all they gotta do is push a button and it zaps them or shocks them, right, or something like that on the
Yeah,
inside.
but if they didn't do that, then he wouldn't have been able to kick their butt later.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. It's the old plot. You gotta have that, right? which is fine. I have no complaints because I want to see the plot move just like
No,
anybody
you're
else.
right. You're right. Logically, that would have made a lot more sense, and it would have kept him trapped.
And it introduces us to this weapon that we see in the picture, to what it is,
Hmm
because
But
we'll find out what its purpose is.
right. The Krill want the command codes to be able to figure out some Union deployment strategies, but Ed said only fleet admirals have access to that, so that his codes would be useless. But of course, they don't believe him and use the pain stick on. Well, they don't use the pain stick on him. They show here uh, Lieutenant Tyler, and they use a pain stick on her, and so he gives them a code. And back on the Orville, they don't know Ed is in trouble. So Gordon begins his command training with the psychology evaluation, and she starts with something like an EatBot test, but he's too embarrassed to reveal what he sees in any of the abstractions he sees. I see a Goomba from Super Mario Brothers, but he sees something gross. I don't know. I see a raven
Right.
flying out of a book.
Three-dimensional.
I don't know. I don't know what I see in this one. Oh, hello in the chat to LDG.
Hey, LDG, good
How
to
you
see you.
doing? Yeah, great to see you.
Right, so he
And
definitely failed the Rorschach test. So I don't think he got very
yeah,
far.
right. He didn't even try. Like, I guess he should have just been honest with the weird things he was seeing.
Well, and
But
this
maybe
brings
they
more
weren't
down to I think this is why they're doubting what makes him think that he's a captain. Then
right. Right. He can't even be honest with himself. And so also sub in the chat to LDG. And that one was too much. This is where they just end the test. So back on the krill ship, Ed sees a familiar krill named Leia. And of course, as we already knew several episodes ago, she reveals herself to have been Lieutenant Tyler in disguise.
yeah, I'm
Which
wondering,
is
do you think that's why? Okay, she mentions that they have technology where she can appear to be human. Do you think that's why the character intentionally looked like his ex-wife? Was she knew that would attract him?
yes, because it's mentioned that uh Taylor was crafted to be attractive to Ed. So they were just like, who is he attracted to? There's
Right.
Kelly, let's copy her, more or less.
Right, and Kelly in this episode and the prior one where they introduced her, you could see that she kind
Mhm.
of had a strange look in her eye, like when she looks, So I'm glad they did that. Right, there was a reason why she did look similar to her,
Right.
and we'll
And
see another reference to that later on in the episode.
right. And they call the science for this transcellular micrographing, but we don't get much info on the specifics of that. So that would have been nice. But at the same time, some of the science is mostly fine in this episode.
Yes.
And this is a table turn from when Ed and Gordon did the same type of deception towards her and killed all the entire crew except for her and the school children in the season 1 episode called Krill. So this is like a sequel to that. Right here, I have to segue mention this. Okay, there was an episode of Discovery that featured a Klingon disguised as a human, leading some people to falsely believe that this was taken from that somehow. But luckily, we have confirmation, which I put in the description below, with an interview with Tom Constantino to show that that's not the case. It was a complete coincidence. So that's that. So the krill ship is attacking, giving Ed the chance to knock out some krill and get a weapon. Because this other alien species has decided to attack. And I wonder if we'll get to see them again. I know we don't see them again in the season, I think.
Okay.
And Talea helps him escape in a pod. And here's the design of them. They kind of remind me of, they sound like pigs, if you could hear them.
Hello.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me? LDG in the chat, can you hear me? Oh, maybe he's on the phone or
Oh,
something.
I had a call. Sorry, wrong number. Thank you.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
okay. I just wanted to make sure I was still broadcasting.
Oh, yes, you are. Sometimes I question about myself. Yeah, you still sound loud and clear.
Okay, great. So they make it away. They are able to escape this attack while the whole rest of the crew is decimated by these attackers. And it's a lot of action, very cinematic destruction and death. And they're able to make it to the escape pod. And the escape pod is able to figure out how to find the nearest habitable world to land on. And that seems to be it. And very lucky that there was one nearby. Having thus escaped, with this, we get a nice crash scene, and she goes back to treating Ed like a prisoner. And it turns out magnetic ore is blocking her distress signal. So we have the classic dilemma of needing to reach up high to send a signal.
And
More
once again, the same old tropes. We have two aliens that are usually enemies, forced to survive together, and so on.
It's one of my favorite tropes, though.
Yeah, it's fine. Every series has to try it at least once.
Right, exactly. Why not? It is a very repeated trope, but it's okay. I like it.
It's fine, right?
Hmm. And it's something we expect from a sci-fi show. She goes back to treating Ed like a prisoner, and more specifically, this reminds me of a Deep Space Nine episode where the frenemies Odo and Quark have to do the same thing. And man,
Interesting.
that episode is really awesome. So here's my weekly recommendation that you go watch Deep Space Nine with us on Clobber Times channel this summer.
Very cool. Clobber Time is a great channel.
Yes, I was glad to see you there this past week. This past Saturday. And
Oh,
if anyone else,
thank you for the recommendation. I enjoyed myself. It was a wonderful stream.
right, I
Yeah,
could see that you're enjoying yourself.
yeah, that Raquel. I mean, she thinks about TNG the same way I do, and it was so refreshing to hear somebody else speaking about it like that. It was. I just couldn't
Mhm.
believe it. It was great.
Yeah, she is fantastic. And if anybody else wants to join us on Clobbering Times channel, it's we have Saturday night Star Trek at 9 p.m. Central.
I will be there again.
Yeah, and I'll be on the panel too this week, so helping
Oh,
to review season 6. Every time we get to a season review at the end, I for the past few episodes, the past few season endings, I've been able to join the panel. So,
right. I can't wait. I will definitely be there.
so that's definitely a lot of fun.
Cool.
And although I'm a little bit disappointed that you missed some of the best TNG episodes, because now we're moving on to season 7, and not even in my state of just watching TNG more relaxed and not overanalyzing it, I could tell that there's some stinkers in there. So,
Oh well, yeah.
but
I will go, but there's those streams are still listed on their channel, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Okay.
even when the episodes aren't so good, it's still so much fun to do the reviews.
Oh, reviews are always fun. Yes. I mean, look at Bird. I don't know if he's
Mhm.
having fun, but we are listening to it.
Yeah, right. Anyway, we see Ed has to carry the signal booster.
Now I think that was up there when you looked in the sky. That was the two krill ships being destroyed, right? Right there.
Oh, yeah, you know what? I didn't know what that was, but that makes sense. I was wondering if it was that or if it were the aliens.
Oh, it could be. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know. And so here we get Gordon in the simulator.
That'd be Kobayashi Maru for them, I guess.
Yeah, you beat me to it.
Oh, sorry.
No, no, that's okay. No, that's exactly what this is. This is just like that. Gordon has to, he has to deal with the krill, and he has to figure out how to release uh, their prisoners, but also get the krill to not attack. And I don't know, just he feels a little bit to me like Captain Archer the way the way he asks for diplomacy, and maybe I don't know. I need to rewatch Enterprise to see if that's a correct.
Well, it's
analogy.
interesting because this is simulated. Now that you look at it, it's like, okay, he doesn't have a full crew around him, and the
Right,
people that are at the helm are stand-ins. They're not the regular crew, which shows you this is probably not a real environment.
right, exactly.
Unlike when they showed the Kobayashi Maru in
Hmm.
was
Yeah,
it
you
Star
thought
Trek
it was
2?
real.
Right. Yeah,
You
well,
thought it was real, yeah, in Star Trek 2. Yeah, right, because
because why would they have the main crew
right,
perform the Kobayashi Maru just for a trainee? But then we all know that behind the scenes, the only reason why they did that was to fool us about Spock dying. That's the only reason why they shot that scene. But in
Right.
reality, if you had a simulator scene, you wouldn't have the command crew within that scene playing their roles. But it was always a good scene anyway.
Yeah, it's a fantastic scene, and and it tricked a lot of people too. I'm
Oh, it
sure.
did back then? That's because we had all. I remember the news had already hit that Spock dies in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and
Hmm.
it let leak before the movie came out. So they hurried up and shot that scene just for that reason to throw us off track when we went to see the movie.
Yeah, just like in Star Trek 3, where they have a hooded Vulcan come in, and you think it's Spock, and it's just his dad.
Right.
Star Trek was good at playing with their emotions like that.
Oh yes. And here's of
Uh,
course Gordon being overconfident as usual.
yeah, he makes up a lie, and here's another Star Trek reference because he says there's a deflector that bounces back any attack. Now, what does that remind you of?
The Corbomite maneuver.
Yes, exactly. I knew you'd get that one, but it doesn't work so well for Gordon.
Wait, we forgot. Oh, duh. The guy said our sensors don't detect anything. Oh, duh. That there goes that.
um, the whole simulation itself is is also an homage, like you said, to the Kobayashi Maru, except in this case, Kelly says that there is a solution, so it isn't quite as hopeless as the Kobayashi Maru is. And she claims that she's all right, yeah. And here back on the planet, we get some nice fog. And she claims she's only using him as a pack mule, so he can get the
Right.
signal.
Yeah, in reality, this is military, and she would be afraid that he would turn on her any time, so she would put that backpack on and shoot him. But
Mhm.
hey, we wouldn't have a show.
Yeah, I was thinking it seems a little silly to me that that's her explanation.
Right, because
And
in
I'm
reality,
glad you
right,
agree.
yeah, she would have shot him and then just put the backpack
Hmm.
on her own back. But we
Yeah.
wouldn't. We all know what's going to happen here and what's going on.
Well, the only reason that she'd keep him around is if she thinks that his survival will help her survival somehow.
Well, she's still hoping to get the correct codes. She doesn't at
Hmm.
this point doesn't know if he gave the correct codes when she was being tortured.
Right. And she's worried about that, but all Ed is worried about is the movies. Like, hey, what was any of that relationship real? Do you like any of the movies we watched? Like, and it turns out that she did like one. She liked Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Right,
but she thought that the Nazis were the heroes.
Belloc. Right, she sympathized with Belloc.
Yeah, yeah, but then here Ed admit this part I don't like too much, that Ed admits that the command codes were fake, and that the command codes would have given the Krill false data that would have taken them a couple of weeks to figure out. And but why would Ed reveal this to her? He has no reason to give up his cards like that. And
Right, because all she had to
and
do is say, "Okay, you don't know you don't know the codes, you have no access," so then she can shoot him.
right, and exactly. And if this episode was going to remind me of the Cobra Knight maneuver, then Ed right here just failed his poker game.
Right, you bluff up to the very end, and then you still don't give away your hand.
Yep. But no, he's completely honest with her because he wants her to be honest with him about
Yeah,
their relationship. Like Ed
that's what I
is
was gonna
just
say.
way wrapped up in the relationship.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. He's trying to win her over. So it's like we're talking about a relationship in Santa Monica, not a relationship between two alien species that are warring.
Yeah, this kind of attitude is kind of funny to me. I don't get it.
But it's a contemporary couple arguing. So
Right.
I don't know.
Well, hello in the chat to the Nerdporial Lifeform.
Hello, Nerdporial.
And he agrees. He says, "You never show weakness. The Godfather teaches this lesson well."
So true, so true. And another thing too, I was gonna realize when they first crashed, and he
Mhm.
was laying asleep against the tree, and she walked up with a gun. I would have gotten up with a limp and say, "I think my leg's broken. I apologize," and that would leave her thinking that you're weak, and that way you can come up behind her and attack her.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. I
that's what
would.
should have happened. That's what
Yeah.
Captain
I would.
Kirk would have done.
Yeah, I would not gotten up like I'm perfectly agile. I'm absolutely fine. Let's
I
go.
mean, yeah, Kirk might have worked with her, but he would have taken the upper hand immediately.
Right. Especially he's so close to her many times here. He could easily grab that from her or anything. But oh well, that's
Yeah,
not the plot.
he never tries to overpower her at all. When I kept
No.
expecting that to happen.
Or at least an
no.
attempt, at least one attempt where she
Right.
says, "And don't try that again, or I'll shoot you." And I mean it, or something like that, right?
Right. That would have been cool. But can't be perfect.
Well, what they're doing is which we knew it from the beginning, that she still has feelings for him, and they're showing that. So she's being a little over patient.
Right. And the Chektal have arrived here, and Talea says that they do not take prisoners, meaning they kill. So the bigger danger that Ed realizes pretty quickly is that the sun is coming up, and the sun is going to kill Talea. And she finally sees the logic of seeking shelter. And I want to take a moment to commend the actress portraying Talea. The only reason that we knew that she was Talea, Lieutenant Tyler was Talea, was because in the credits she was shown as the same actress.
Yes.
But if the fans weren't so attentive, I think that Michelle McManus did a fabulous job portraying both characters as unique, separate entities that only Ed could see as one.
Right. It is funny though. He did mention the joke that he liked her better when she used contractions. So they do reference the fact that aliens are supposedly that's the old trope. I think didn't somebody use the same joke on Data once?
Right. And there's the incongruity that sometimes every once in a while the actor Brent Spiner did use a contraction accidentally, and it got by the editors.
Of course.
Anyway, this anyway, he can see through her. Apparently, that's what we're supposed to think anyway.
Right, and she stands and listens to all of it, right? As he reminisces, right?
Right. He wants to see Tyler again. He misses her.
Well, I understand his reasoning, but in reality, well, she would be saying, "Why are you saying this? I don't want to hear this. Move her. I'm going to shoot."
Back on the Orville, Gordon is telling another lieutenant about how he's taking the command test.
Who happens to look similar to the other two ladies. What do you know?
Yeah. There's a type on the show. Apparently.
Right? Is that the blue hair, the blonde hair and blue eyes? Yeah, it seems to be. Yeah.
And after observing this exchange, Kelly has some questions about Gordon's motives. She wants to make sure that he's not just doing this to pick up women. And he admits that maybe it's some of that, but also that he's bored with himself. And he thinks that if he's bored with himself, that anyone who would be in a relationship with him would be bored of him too. So she has to assuage that doubt that that's not true. Meanwhile, they still don't know the captain's in danger. Aren't shuttles supposed to check in at regular intervals?
You would think so.
Usually?
Yeah, especially being command of that ship. You know, you have like a communicator type thing.
Yeah, I think when Dr. Finn didn't show up to the planet, that it somehow word got back to the Orville pretty quick for that.
Right.
But here, no, I guess.
Did they mention when the two of them went to go on this supposed vacation how long they would be gone?
I don't know. They didn't say.
Oh, because I was wondering, like, was the Orville hanging around the area or off on a different mission? But I guess they didn't mention that.
No, they don't mention where they are. What? Oh, they were doing some kind of delivery. They're doing.
Well, that's right. The delivery. That's right. She said
to
she would
Epsilon
handle it.
5.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyway, let's see here. Back on the planet, Ed and Talea find a cave to wait out the day. And they have some good character moments building for the krill here. Their outlook that the Krill deserve the galaxy over all others hasn't changed. And this might have been a compelling speech about him being sorry for having killed her brother. Except he says that her brother would have killed 100,000 people. But that was on the ship that she was on, not her brother's.
Yes.
Unless unless he was on his way to kill 100,000 people too.
Right. But let's not talk about that right now.
Oh no, okay, that didn't happen. Sorry.
No, I'm saying
Moving on.
that's the way she acted. What I'm saying is like right, like well, that of course not. But
Mhm.
what I thought was interesting is supposedly their hatred for the humans is she, according to her, they're not religious, so they have no soul.
Right.
So you think that at one point he would say there are many of us that are religious, who we have a God, we have our own God, just a different sort of God as yours. So we have
Mhm.
souls as well, something along that line.
Right.
Instead of he never mentioned religion at all, like everybody
It's
are
true.
atheists. I don't know,
I don't
interesting.
know.
But that
Uh,
would have been a wise thing to say, a smart thing to do if you're trying to be diplomatic. I think
right.
even if I wasn't a religious person myself, I would say, well, our planet is religious. We have a God. We have
Mhm.
several, I wouldn't say several gods. It's going to sound like
Well, okay,
hypocrisy.
there are thousands of religions. That's true.
But you know that this species thinks that theirs is the only one. So I
Right.
would go on the basis I'd say our planet, our people have a religion as well. We have a God as well. Maybe our gods
Mhm.
have something in common, something like that.
Right. That would have been a great addition. I agree.
But that's different from the plot. Sorry.
Yeah. Right. But it would have been fine to mention that
Well, and
because
modern day television movies they don't bring up religion. They're all anti-religion, right?
mhm. Yeah, but I do kind of like when he mentions that they weren't always fanatical until they had gained space travel.
That's
I
true.
liked this reveal because at some point, religions sometimes are corrupted by those who are in power.
Many times in history, yes, absolutely.
Hmm. So, I mean, I was just imagining it would be neat if eventually the Krill discovers like some kind of secret true words of Avis that he wasn't, the same as the book that they read.
Yes,
Mm-mm.
but
But
it reminds me of here, even here on Earth, we have religions that totally disagree and despise other religions, which and
right,
they and
and
they feel
and
the other ones are inferior. So
and
I
we
see this
have
even here.
religions where they use the same book but practice it completely differently.
Yes, we have at least one religion where they rewrite a new volume every few years whenever it suits their needs.
Mhm. Yeah, right. So it parallels to me how any religion could be abused and misportrayed. So it's just a thought, and your thought brings that together really well by saying that Ed should have mentioned that there was religion on his planet too.
Mm-hmm.
And Ed finds out that a day on this planet, it turns out to be 23 Earth days long.
It would have been nice if he mentioned how long a night is because I was curious, but oh well, alas.
Yeah, that would have been great
Yeah,
because the
they
night
could have.
seemed to be normal.
Right, they could have easily squeezed it in there. He could have said the days are 23 Earth days long, and their night is, half a day or one
Hmm.
day or 2 days. I don't know
Yeah,
because they
and
landed at night, so they have no idea how long the nights last either.
right, right. They'd have to wait 23 days to find out,
Right.
or do some
Wait a
astronomy
minute.
work.
Wait a minute. Mathematics. Wouldn't the days and the nights both be equal, right? Because it's a sphere.
Usually, what? Right, unless yeah, right, unless one side moves faster or slower. Um, I
Hmm.
mean, it doesn't make sense that it would change speed. That the planet's spin would change speed.
Right, or that one part is moving faster than the other. So I
Eh,
would be willing to believe that the nights are just as long as the days, just like here,
yes,
because it's a sphere. A
yes, I think
sphere.
that's a fair assumption.
Okay.
And so because this day is so long, he'll have to set up the beacon alone. So she's forced to trust him, and so he goes out and he finally sets out the distress signal. And only now does the Orville finally realize something is wrong. They should have known there was a problem sooner, but only to be able to find them. They're only able to find them once this distress signal is sent. But then I guess we wouldn't have been able to have Gordon's B plot had they found the distress signal sooner. Because if the ships were busy searching for the captain, Gordon wouldn't have had the time to do all the command training stuff. But
True.
I don't like when stuff like that is used as an excuse just to give us the B plot. Even though I like the B plot, it just doesn't seem to fit with this episode, I don't think.
It's funny. I remember back in the days, I'm old, when it used to be called
Mhm.
subplot. When we were lucky there was only two. Now it's A, B, C, D. I don't know how far it goes.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're lucky there are only two.
Only two? Okay.
I think there are only two. Are there more than two in this one?
Just
Well, you're roboting a little bit here. So, having set the signal, he heads back down, finding the Choctaw. The Orville arrives quickly, and Bortus forms a landing rescue party with Gordon. And I'm glad. This is. Wait, are you there? Hey, Pop Culture Curator, are you okay? I think we lost him, but it's okay. We can continue. I'm glad that this is the last episode with Tharl in it, especially here because he's severely neglecting his duty, not being able to be around for this rescue or designating someone to be the security officer. And it also kind of shows some incompetence that Bortus didn't hire a security officer either. You always got to have some red shirts, right? But they didn't bring any. So, anyway, to I mean, maybe they could have brought Isaac or something. Sometimes this show misses out on obvious things. When Talea realizes that the Union is rescuing, she doesn't want to go down as a prisoner again. And I'm distracted by this kind of thing because I feel like, is this jacket good enough to protect her skin based on how these aliens were defeated by light in the Krill episode? So that part distracted me, and I wondered about that. Anyway, she has to trust him again, and she has to give her gun to him so he can shoot the Choctaw. And Pop Culture Curator is back. Welcome back.
I'm so sorry. My house wife internet was down, so I'm now on my phone. I hope
Yeah, it
so.
looks like you're still roboting pretty bad. Oh. Hello in the chat to Son of a Red Shirt. How are you doing today? Pop Culture Curator's internet seems to be out, but I will continue. So Ed ends up shooting the Choctaw, and he's able to escape with Talea, and they get one last shot, and the aliens keep shooting into the sky. And Commander Grayson, not having gone through what Captain Mercer did, is sure that they should keep Talea as prisoner. But Ed sees this as an opportunity for diplomacy, so he lets her go. Even if it falls mostly on deaf ears, at least one Krill will have been influenced. Talea, of course. At least the episode realizes that the B plot is disconnected. So they hurry up and connect it here at the end. And so they hurry up and connect the B plot at the end when Gordon is surprised at Ed's difficult decision-making skills. That could put him in hot water or not with leadership. He did what he believed was right, and that always isn't an easy call, especially with such a violent race as the Krill. And for the first time, we see a Krill shuttlecraft in the Orville shuttle bay, not there as a conquest of battle. The last time we saw a krill shuttle in the bay was when they had caught one, or when one had been in the remains of a battle. So Talea tries to dispel any notions that there could be any peace. But oh, Pop Culture might be back. Let's see if his internet's working. How are you doing now?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, much better.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, but the internet went down. I apologize. I'm on my phone, so I'm going to listen. I don't want to interrupt.
Oh, that's okay. I just went through a little bit of the episode here.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. But I just went through a little bit of the episode. I kind of mentioned that the rescue party didn't have any red shirts, and I was blaming it on Thrall.
Yep.
Basically. And they escape and everything. And that Talea doesn't think that this is actually going to help relations at all. And how they use this at the end to connect the B plot to the A plot by showing the command decision that Ed makes without the Admiralty.
Yes, that's true.
And Ed says that it's a defect of his species that they never give up hope. And I like that line. But if you're a lone starship and you call out for your enemy, what's to stop them from bringing a fleet? Unless of course, the Orville specifically looked for a lone ship to do the exchange with. So that's what I'm going to pretend they did. That they sought out just one ship. And they found one. Oh. Hello?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Welcome back.
Now I'm back on my computer because the internet came back up. So, thank you.
Oh, sweet. Okay, great. Yeah, I was just saying that if you call your enemy, that they might bring a fleet with them. So my explanation that the reason why that didn't happen was because Ed must have looked for just one specific ship and went to just one. That way they didn't have a chance to build up a force.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So I had to come up with that myself, though. That should have been in the episode.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. You'll give them time to call for backup, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I had to help him there with that. Despite a few flaws like that, I have a very soft spot for episodes where working in tandem with an enemy to survive is important. And this one does it well enough to be entertaining. She accepts his gift of Billy Joel music. And
I was going to reference that when he said this is the best of Billy Joel. I was going to say just one or two.
just a couple of songs on there.
Well, I have that album, and it comes in 2 volumes, 1 and 2. So,
oh, okay. I thought
it was back in the CD days, where they can only handle so many tracks on each CD.
Oh yeah, CDs. Mm-hmm.
So, but of course, that's not necessary in the future. It'll all be on that one disc. So it's just a
joke. That could be his entire discography on there.
Yes, it could.
And he even still wants to watch some movies with her. And I was thinking, well, she does need to watch the other Indiana Jones movies.
That's true, right?
Anyway, so what did you think of this episode, Pop Culture Curator? And what were some of your favorite parts?
I enjoyed it as well. And like you said, the trope of the aliens having to be forced to work together. A lot of my favorite shows use the same plot, which is absolutely fine. I enjoy that. And I'm glad they interwove this character through more than just one episode. Kind of fleshed her out.
It was a build-up.
Yeah, it kind of fleshed her out instead of 2-dimensional character. It kind of reminds me of the horrible Klingon in Discovery, the female that tortures the guy, then falls in love with him or whatever. I don't know. I just watched Bird's reviews. But this is more like that character done right.
This is a way better portrayal of that kind of thing.
Right. That show just happens to, I don't know, I can't think of any characters on the show that are likable. And this show
Yeah.
here, this character, was likable, even though she was the bad guy or bad girl or whatever you want to call
Right.
it.
I liked her from the very first Krill episode. She showed how the Krill can be personable and friendly.
Yep.
Well, at least among themselves.
Right. They fleshed the character out instead of just two-dimensional thugs. Yeah, I really like that. If I had to give it a rating, I'd give it maybe a 7 out of 10, 7 or
Yeah.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I give these around B's myself. It's pretty good.
Then I guess
And
I'll give it a
also,
B. I
speaking
need
of
to get on the same level as you. People are gonna
no,
like,
no,
what is
no,
this?
you can do numbers. You can do numbers, and I can do letters. It's all up to you. It's all the same.
Well, might
You
as well
can use
keep it
any
the same
grading
though.
you like.
I'll give it a B. I'll keep it on the same page as you.
And speaking of the episode, make sure to vote in the poll here, since we're coming up to the end pretty soon. To vote which episode you like best in the poll. And so far in that regard, we've got Nothing Left on Earth Excepting Fishes is winning the poll out of 7 votes at 71%. So, were there any more? Did I have any more
There.
pictures here? Oh yeah, the Krill
Nice.
shuttle. Yeah, the Krill
Oh,
shuttle.
Dalek just dropped in. Hello, Dalek.
Oh, Dalek is here. Oh, I didn't hear that.
Dalek, we sorely missed you. I'm not joking. We actually thought we spoke of you earlier. We wish you would have been here.
Yeah, you were here in spirit. We thought of you every time we had some extra drama. We'd say, "Oh, we know what Dalek would say about this." Hi, Dalek 451. Sorry I couldn't be in today. That's all right. We're here.
Hope everything's working out for you there.
And Son of a Red Shirt had said previously, don't generally people refer to a day as 24 hours? Nobody says a night is 24 hours. Perhaps that applies to the Orville as well.
Well, what we're talking about is, for us, a day is 12. No, it's 24, and then a night. No, it's 12 and 12 for us. But on this alien planet, it was 23 and 23. Or it was,
Yeah, it was
it was 23 days, right? Ours is 12 hours long. There's a 20. Their one day is 23 days long.
If he can detect that a day lasts 23 days, Earth days. He said that a day lasts 23 Earth days.
Yeah,
so
yes.
24 times 23 is okay. So 552 hours, 552-hour day, Earth by Earth hour.
Right. So we were surmising that the days and the nights are probably equal in length because their planet is round.
Yeah, and it's spinning.
It's spinning, and it stays in the same. We assume the same orbit.
And at the same similar speed. So
now this is just like we already thought more than any of the writers on Discovery. None of them could. They would struggle to even get that
that's
far.
Not hard to do, though. That's not hard to do because I've watched some after shows of Discovery, and they say, don't ask questions like as a writer. So that was literally something that they said. I'd go back, and if it wasn't torture, I'd go back and clip it.
Well, I believe you. It shows, right?
It does. And Son of Red Shirt said, I'd rate the episode B 7 out of 9 smiley faces. Nice. Good rating, Son of Red Shirt.
Yeah, once again, I enjoyed myself. I'm excited for next week.
Right. Yeah, next week. Next week we get 2 more episodes. And we're going to go through all of season 2. And next week we have the 5th episode, All the World is Birthday Cake. And number 6 is A Happy Refrain. So we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. And so, I mean, this is the first time the Krill ship, the shuttle, enters and leaves peacefully. And they even say this is the first time that, the Krill aren't coming in with the guns blazing.
Yes, and that's what I mean by the design looking like the Orville's shuttles in the new series, in the new season.
Yeah, you think there's some collaboration going on?
Possibly.
Could be. Don't know. So let's see here. So that's our show today,
Perfect.
and I'm still waiting for some new this season hasn't really had much new sci-fi concepts that we had a ton of in season 1. So I'm still waiting for that. I believe it's coming. I think it's getting better every week.
You can always hope.
Mm-hmm. And Pop Culture Curator, I couldn't be more grateful to you for joining me this show, because I know that it wouldn't be as wonderful without you. We really need to get your subscribers back up. So
Thank you. And like I said, I really enjoy being here. It's the honor is all mine. It's a blast. It's fun. I want to do review shows of my own eventually, so this is great practice. So
oh
thank
yeah,
you so much.
absolutely. You're welcome. And please subscribe to Pop Culture Curator for live
Thank
streams
you.
and visits to filming locations all
I'll have a new
around.
video. Yeah, I'll have a new video up tonight. And Bird of
Awesome.
Prey's back just in time. Hail Bird.
Yeah, Hail Bird of Prey 5.
And by the way, everybody, if you want a really good laugh and a really good time, watch Bird of Prey 5's current Star Trek reviews, Picard and
Yes.
Discovery.
Yeah, yes, he does. He watches all the new Star Trek, so you don't have to.
Right, right. He's our human shield.
Yeah, and also, who else was here who has a channel was LDG. So also he does some great work helping people out, just hanging out on his channel right now. and Bird gets a kick out of that. And I also want to say again, Dalek 451, his shows are also about hanging out, talking about Doctor Who, and he also likes other stuff like anime and all this stuff. So check him out. And hello to Son of a Red Shirt. Thanks for coming by. And also thanks to the Nerdpoil Lifeform, who also has a channel. I don't remember if I put. Let's see if I had you. I don't know if I had you in there. Mm-hmm. And also we had Ervik Saunders. I don't know why I always add an S to your name, Ervik Saunders. But it's great to see you.
All of you guys, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks to the chat for being here.
If you liked what you saw, please click the like button and subscribe to Jill's channel and click the alerts.
Yep. And we even got a new subscriber during the stream. I haven't had that in a little while, so that's pretty cool. And that Stream Elements told me about it. That's my favorite thing.
I'm going to work on that too.
Yeah. So, did I? Oh yeah, the Nerdpoil link did pop up. I did program you in Nerdpoil, so there you are. Join his channel for some really greatly edited videos about pop culture, sci-fi, and lots of fun stuff. And video games.
I'll get my Stream Elements working as well. I appreciate that, Jill.
You're welcome. Oh, and Ploxard says, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Thank you so much, Ploxard. You're a sweetheart. And thank you everyone for joining me today. I hope you all enjoyed today's episodes. But remember that what's even better than watching my reviews is going to go out to watch
So sorry.
to watch the Orville yourself. That's okay. As we get ready for season 3. And have a great day, everyone. I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, Jill.
Shut up!